everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Dan, are Mormon fathers and no emotions.
We're going to talk about patriarchy. We're going to talk about gender roles. We're going to talk about... And listen, when we say patriarchy, we aren't talking about some grand but nebulous social construct in our country or in the world. We're talking about a designed, orchestrated, and overt patriarchy that you are meant to hold to.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's not something to dismantle. It's not a bug. It's a feature in Mormonism and many religions, and we're just going to sort of break it on down.
Yeah. But, yeah. So it's going to be good. That's going to be good, Dan.
Oh, it's going to be a fun talk. Fun little chat.
Talking about the patriarchy is always fun.
Everybody
always
loves
a good time.
Patriarch talk. Everybody loves it.
Well, Dan, guess what?
What?
I don't know if you've ever wanted to go to Brazil.
I have.
Yeah,
I do.
What about Rio? Do you have any desire to go to Rio de Janeiro?
That's my dad lived in Rio for many years, and I've always wanted to go to there.
Did he ever talk about the Christ the Redeemer statue?
I mean, no, he never talked about it, but it does loom large over the city, as I understand.
Deal, right?
Yeah.
Very tall, top of some mount, something or other. And
a direct ripoff of the Christ of the Ozarks that we saw, Frank, when we were in.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't it something like the largest representation of Christ in like Southern Hemisphere or something like that?
Probably.
Maybe the world. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, Dan, there is a new one coming. A new giant
Jesus?
statue of Jesus called Christ the Protector.
Oh.
Which is being built in a small town in the southernmost state in Brazil.
Another Brazilian Jesus?
Another Brazilian Jesus, yes. And it is going to be 43 meters tall. That's 16 feet taller than the Christ the Redeemer statue.
Oh, bigger. They've outdone him.
Made of steel and concrete.
Wow.
With an elevator in the inside of it, so you can ride to the top and look out Jesus' eyes.
Not before you've looked up Jesus' skirt.
I don't know if the viewing room is going to actually be in his eyes, but that's where it should be.
So you can So this is meant to be a thing that you can like get on Jesus' shoulders.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to go up into his head.
Oh.
I think. And then there's definitely an elevator. It definitely goes up. And yeah, maybe you can walk along the shoulder because his arms are like really level. That's what they should have done. There should have been like a little railing, and you could go out from the sides of his neck, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
walk out. But nope, it's going to be enclosed. But so that you can take pictures and selfies.
So wait, this is Christ the Defender? Is that what you said?
Christ the Protector.
Protector.
Yes.
So what is he doing? Does he have like a shield and a sword?
No.
Does he have an AR-15?
A lot like the Christ the Redeemer, to be honest. It's just
his arms are
outstretched
to the sides. Again?
To the sides, yes.
Not even forward, as in I welcome you, but just I once caught a fish that was this big.
Yes, complete ripoff. They are completely 100% ripping it off. They saw those tourism dollars, because it's one of the top visited tourist sites in Rio. And so this little town, they're like, we need to cash in on the giant Jesus tourism, racket. Let's get in on that. Let's make some money. Why does Rio? I guess
you could go to the little one in Rio if you like small Jesus, but
yeah,
I prefer the big one.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. It's I cannot wait. It's going to lure me to this little town called Encantado. Encantado. It's down near the border with, like, what would be down there? Uruguay and Argentina. And so I guess they're hoping to lure people across the border to see the giant Jesus.
Huh. Encantado in Portuguese and Spanish apparently means charmed, which is what I learned when I Googled it just now.
Charming.
How charming that enormous Jesus must be. Oh, my God. I want to now get a picture of that Jesus and then Photoshop a bulge in the crotch, just because that would be funny to me. Anyway, I got
really,
nothing out of you on that.
That is what came to... I'm just over here, just like, I chuckled quietly to myself. But that's what came to mind. That's what you want to do.
Look, here's what I want to do. I want to fuck with the Jesus. Yeah, you want to do something. And I'm not going to go there and, like, actually spray paint, genitalia on him. But, I mean, when you think about the thing that would most horrify the people who most care about that thing, it would be the fact that he had, like, genitals and a poop hole. Those are the things that would...
They don't want to think about
those things.
No, he was perfect. He didn't have them.
They don't, but yeah, they want Ken doll.
He never
Jesus.
pooed. He never pooed. I promise you.
I'm not having it.
He never
that
pooed.
Dude, he had a ding dong. That guy.
Yeah, and he probably used it a couple times too.
You kidding me? He had 12 disciples. That dude was. I mean, what do you think a disciple is in those times?
Ooh. Wow.
Hey-yo. That was his grinder right there.
Oh my.
Anyway, I'll bring us back to Utah for my next story.
Cool.
Land of Mormonism. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Mormons are here. And one such Mormon is facing what is now apparently called, it used to be called like a disciplinary council. It's gone through a few different things, but now it's called a membership council. Which sounds nice, but is, in fact, horrible. Or rather, if you want to be a Mormon, it's bad. It's never a good thing, in part because what it's going to be is, 4 or 5 men in suits, obviously white men in suits, old dudes, on one side of a table, and this woman on another side of the table, and they'll be asking her questions about the fact that she is a sex therapist.
Oh.
Now, let me tell you something.
What?
Mormons need sex therapists. This is a fact of Mormonism, and all like majorly clamp down on sexuality religions. All the high intensity religions, you need sex therapists because people get messed up sexually by Mormonism. But she's in trouble. This is a woman named Natasha Helfer.
Uh-oh.
And she's in trouble because she is outspoken about the fact that she, for instance, supports marriage equality. She thinks that, she's critical of church leaders who talk about sex in ways that science has shown are unhelpful for people and are actually harmful.
Oh, yeah.
She blatantly says that masturbation is fine. How dare she?
Oh my! She is really running afoul of the rules.
She's fine with sexual content in media. She's not like anti-porn the way Mormons are supposed to be, I guess. She is basically everything. She's their worst nightmare.
Is she a believing Mormon? Does she go?
Yeah, she wants to stay in the church.
Hey,
I don't know why.
Make a point.
That one always baffles me, but, people like to stay in their churches. She's trying to change it from within.
Is that what she says?
Well, I no, I'm just guessing.
Because that's what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Until they get kicked out, and then they're like, "Why was I staying in?" Or until they finally come to their senses and they leave, and then they're like, "Why was I doing that? I could have just left. Why would I want to stay in a system that hates me, doesn't want me, doesn't believe in what I believe in, doesn't look to the science?"
Right.
Anyway, she said, here's a quote from her in a video that she released. The quote is, "Inappropriate sexual shame harms people. When churches and religious communities reject sexual health principles supported by decades of research and science, the community suffers, and this has tragic and violent ramifications."
Huh.
She is not wrong.
Yeah. No. Wow.
I mean, whether it's violence in the form of, sexual violence, aggressive violence, discrimination, harassment, that sort of things, rape, sex crimes, all of those sorts of things, all come out of, or all can be the product of sexual shame.
Right.
But also self-harm and self-violence. Utah has one of the highest rates of young suicide in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and part of the reason for that is that it's LGBTQ youth who are told from a very early age that they're not welcome in their parents' utopia.
Right. Yeah. No, it's.
So anyway, she has not she has not been excommunicated yet, but she is she's going to trial.
She's trying her hardest. She's trying so hard to get excommunicated.
She's really doing a bang up job.
If that was her goal, then she succeeded because they are going
claims
to
it's not. But come on, you're going to get kicked out if you start saying.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if she sincerely wants to stay in the Mormon Church and fix it from within and all that crap, whatever. But I would think that an intelligent, educated person, that they also know that this proceeding and the fact that she's getting some publicity, that this is a good thing for the topic at hand, right?
Absolutely.
She knows that by standing up and being a martyr, so to speak, for the topic, that this is going to hopefully get to some people and let them know that,
I think so.
You know what? There's help, you don't have to, this is not an all or nothing. There doesn't have to be an all or nothing, situation for you. If you want to stay in the church, just get some help, and I don't want people to stay in the church. I want them to have every fucking reason to leave the church, but I also don't want people to be sick mentally, right?
Yeah. Or hurt. I don't want them to feel the pain that you feel when what you're being told by the people that you trust the most is obviously runs afoul of everything that you are. Yeah. And that doesn't just apply to LGBTQ people. I was a teenage boy once. I felt sexual urges that I was told were evil.
Yeah.
How does that affect you? I think you're right. I think it's a very good thing that she is bringing light to this thing. I actually saw a thread on Facebook about this by another practicing Mormon who is also sort of on the liberal fringe of Mormonism. But she herself admitted that she didn't know how to put in a tampon until she was 31 years old because of the silence that is expected among Mormons surrounding your downstairs bits.
That's remarkable.
It's shocking.
Wow.
That is shocking to me.
Eek.
Yeah.
How old is she, more or less? 40s?
late 30s, maybe early 40s.
Oh my God, that's crazy town to me.
Yeah.
All right, Dan. This week, Dan, the United States Supreme Court has continued its march toward turning the United States into a Christian nation.
Yeah. That's why most of them were put in there, and they're doing it.
Wow. They're doing something that never was true about the United States, which, it's never officially been Christian. De facto, sure. But officially, boy, they're on their way. Anyway, the case that I want to talk about is the one having to do with California's limits on people gathering during, a public health crisis like a global pandemic. And the state's rule that limited most of the state to indoor social gatherings of no more than 3 households, which seems like too much if you ask me. But nonetheless, those were their rules.
If those are 3 Mormon households, that could be 40 people.
Yeah, no kidding. And so, attendees at these indoor social gatherings are required to wear masks and physically social distance from one another. And what's
That's
important
totally
to note is that these rules and these restrictions are different than those that apply to places like schools, grocery stores, and churches, right? Well, a bunch of Californians sued the state wanting to be able to hold religious services in their home, right? Since, they can't do churchy stuff, then let's have it in the home. And they didn't want it capped to the 3 households thing. Right. And the thing has gone up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, they shouldn't be limiting you. They shouldn't. They're treating you Christians so poorly and so differently. Literally, they're basically saying this. And the rest of so that's the 5 conservative members of the court, which ironically more and more is not always including Roberts, who's a reasonable human being, if he is sort of conservative in his mindset.
Yeah, he's very conservative. He's just not crazy nutball conservative.
I know. And
which is like the new scale by which we're measuring conservative in this country.
It's like crazy or reasonable.
Yeah.
And so he sided with the 3 liberals on the court. That of course is not enough because there were 5. There are 5 nut jobs. And but Justice Kagan wrote the dissent for the liberals.
Sure.
And she says in it things like California limits religious gatherings in homes to 3 households. If the state also limits all secular gatherings in homes to 3 households, it is complied with the First Amendment. And the state does exactly that. It has adopted a blanket restriction on at-home gatherings of all kinds, religious and secular alike. California need not treat at-home religious gatherings the same as hardware stores and hair salons. Because that was the thing that, the conservatives, and it's an unsigned statement as well from the court that says California treats some comparable secular activities more favorably than at-home religious exercise, allowing hair salons, retail stores, and movie theaters, among other places, to bring together more than 3 households at a time.
How is a movie theater anything like a gathering at a household?
Nothing like. And so Kagan says that the law does not require that the state equally treat apples and watermelons.
Right.
Comparing, normally it's apples and oranges, but she felt that this was
she's saying it's
even
so much more different.
Apart. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going on. It's religion just seems to get anything they want with this court. Like everything.
Absolutely. And that was by design. That is exactly why they're there. Like you get these Trump appointees, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. They are there because Trump doesn't care who's on the Supreme Court. So he just listened to whoever was around him, and everyone around him were operatives of religion.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's scary times for about on this topic in America right now.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly for a while. It's going to be ugly. These are young people, Kavanaugh, Coney Barrett, they're in their early 50s, I think. Barrett might not even be 50 yet.
I don't know. It's rough though. I mean, more and more it's kind of like, let's just pack the fucker,
Yeah.
Let's get into that game.
You know what? How would it diminish the Supreme Court if there were 25 people on it? How would that not make it better?
Right.
You know what I mean?
More voices, more opinions, more whatever.
More back and forth, more people to, anyway. It wouldn't make it better if they were all more evangelical nutballs.
No, it would not.
All right. Well, speaking of nutballs, we don't corner the market on nutballery.
No.
No.
I thought that was our specialty.
We're good at it. We have our own brand, which is great. But if you go to, let's say, India, for example, they got their own thing going on, including right now is or now-ish is a festival called Kumbh Mela, which they are also known as the Pitcher Festival. Not picture, but like a pitcher of water or something.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
celebrating pitchers.
Everybody
they just go pouring things around. Is that part of it?
Get your best pitcher and pour like the wind. Let's see your pouring skills, baby. I guess. This is a sacred pilgrimage. It takes place in the northern city of... Wait, I've got it here somewhere. Oh, I'll find it.
Will we know where it is if you do tell us the name? No. I have no offense to India.
Okay.
That's more about us than it is about India.
Yeah. Anyway, the city is called Hardwar. So, obviously very common. We all know about Hardwar. Anyway, they go there. It is on the Ganges River, or Maganga, as my tour guide told me to say it.
Oh.
But
I wouldn't know where that is either.
Right. That's why I said Ganges. Anyway, they take the holy dip in the waters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you've seen how polluted the Ganges is, you'll know that that's just gross, period. But also, India is in the middle of a huge pandemic surge right now.
Oh,
They have a 7-day rolling average of more than 130,000 new cases per day.
Holy shit!
It's not. Look, I just mentioned I've been to India.
Wow.
And I've been to many cities in India, and the whole country is shoulder to shoulder at any given moment anyway. What you don't want to do is send people from far and wide all over the country to congregate all in one place in the tightest possible imaginable quarters and stand with each other waiting for hours to get your turn to go into the river to have your holy dip, and then go back to your city and town, bringing the pestilence with you.
Oh my God.
However, the government of India is loath to prevent this, because whereas we have Christian nationalists who have sort of packed our courts and have been in charge of at least one side of the political spectrum for a long time, they have Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's a Hindu nationalist and would never tell the Hindus they can't do anything that they want to. So
yeah,
this is not good for India. But you know, the thing that they're praying for as they take their dip in the waters is an end to their their death life cycle.
Well,
at least, a bunch of them are going to get a shot at the death part. Maybe it is an end to it. Who knows?
They're thinking about the right things, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Well, doing exactly the wrong thing.
Right.
Oh, Dan.
Not good.
Well, I actually want to talk about a group of people that, as a group, maybe didn't do so hot with the pandemic. But as an organization, they did try to do the right thing, and that's the Mormon Church. They shut down church service, which I was just like, how did a pandemic not happen when I was a kid? Because that would have been amazing. Actually, officially, I don't have to go to church. So cool. But then they started doing online stuff and whatever, and they tried to handle it, and they limited gatherings as they started to reopen and everything. Well,
let me ask you a quick question. I'm going to ask you a quick Mormon question.
Yeah.
Do you think that your parents are, during the at-home church era, do you think they were doing the sacrament with just the two of them?
If that was the instruction, yes.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Are you kidding me?
Interesting.
You don't...
I can't imagine my parents doing it. I know that my in-laws do.
I mean, so...
This is the thing. This is Mormon deep cut stuff, but like the sacrament's just like you bless bread and you bless water and you eat it, but like it's weird if it's not in the context of the church. Like that's a weird thing.
So when you were like a 16-year-old priest, you didn't like go to the hospital and do the sacrament and do that kind of stuff?
No, I never did that.
Oh, see, we did. We went to a retirement home, and we would go to the hospital if somebody was in the hospital. We would go to shut-ins. It was like part of like our. I would do it. I'm sure I did it a dozen or so times as a teenager.
Interesting,
because it would kind of get assigned around, right?
I remember one time, the only time I can remember ever being a part of the sacrament outside of the church context. Was when we were Boy Scouts. Somehow we were on a backpacking trip that bled into a Sunday, and our scout leaders had us do it. So we did sacrament in the mountains that one time.
Oh, I bet that was very special.
It was very weird. Just felt weird.
Other people are sitting there feeling like, oh, this how lovely, and Dan's just like, this is weird. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know. It makes sense, right? Yeah. Those people are probably still Mormon. You,
not. I didn't make it.
Anyway, back to the topic at hand, which is how the Mormons dealt with the pandemic.
Right.
And one of the things that they did largely, I mean, they shut down like a lot of like missionary work.
They brought the missionaries back, a lot of them. I was very proud of them.
Yeah. Well, it had a significant effect on their growth, their numbers, which, if you know Mormons, they are loath to adversely affect those growth numbers.
Oh, they love the numbers.
They love to grow. And they
want to see that ticker tick up.
And while the pandemic did not prevent growth for last year, it did report the church reported an annual membership growth rate that was slower than it was in the last time it was slower was in 1857.
Wow!
When there was negative membership growth because of like the schisms and church leaders had everybody rebaptized and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I don't even know that story. I don't even know what happened, but something happened. And the last time there was an increase of less than 100,000 for total church membership was 1973, when there was a net increase of a little over 87,000 members. They grew by 98,000 last year. But there's some interesting things. So obviously you would expect the convert baptisms to be down because of some of the stuff that we were talking about. But here's where the numbers are kind of revealing, and it also ends up talking about something that I didn't even know was a phenomenon, which is what Mormons call children of record, which is children who end up, because Mormons get baptized when they're 8 years old, right? Like if you're born into the church, you're not sort of officially Mormon until you're baptized, but you can get onto the records of the church by being blessed,
which happens like the month you're born.
Yeah, it's like the first whatever after you're allowed to leave the house, right? And they do it during the sacrament meeting. It's very special, and family drives from far and wide to see the baby be blessed, and it's just a big fucking deal. Well, you would expect church isn't in, so they're not doing these blessings, right? However, there's nothing that would preclude somebody from just giving their child a blessing. It's a big deal, right?
And you don't have to do it. You traditionally do it at church, but you don't have to do it at church.
Exactly. The numbers were down over 30% this last year. Down from over 94,000 in 2019 to 65,000 in 2020. Now,
that is a big jump.
Big drop. Well, this also needs to be put into the context of ever decreasing numbers year over year of new children being blessed essentially into the church as infants.
Interesting.
Because, and of course, and I knew this, but the Mormon birth rate is dropping like mad, right? Like a big Mormon family now is like 3 or 4 kids, whereas when we were kids, it was like that family with 8 or 9.
Yeah,
right,
or 9. Yeah,
and so it's like that family is totally rare now. There's not like 2 or 3 in the ward that have like so many kids that it's unbelievable, right? And then a bunch of families that have 5 or 6. It's now like 5 kids would be a lot of kids, right?
It is a lot of kids.
And it is a lot of kids.
It always was a lot of kids. It's just not by Mormon standards. But you want to know why this is happening? I can tell you exactly why this is happening.
Why is that?
There's too much. You can't come up with that many names that are like, McKaylee and Brennan and Brangan and Jin Jong.
They've run out of weird names. Is what
you can't. They run out eventually. You can't. Like, there's only so many ways you can misspell or weirdly spell a name, and I think the pressure was too high. It's like, this one's name is Sarah with 4 Z's and a P.
No, like if people are not familiar with this as a phenomenon, Mormons have this tendency or cultural thing that they just create names. They like merge names together.
Or they they either invent a name or they can't just spell it the way you would spell it.
Right.
Like if the kid's name is Braden, that's okay, but then it's like BRAYDYHN or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
anyhow.
There you go.
But yeah, so they're facing some things. Like they suspect that next year there will be a surge of or I guess this year, when this year's numbers are counted up, that there will be probably a surge that's recorded of children of record, but it should fall off after that and continue its downward trend.
Yeah. I'm guessing, what I'm guessing is happening?
Mm-hmm.
If I know Mormons, there are a bunch of parents that are holding off on having their blessing until they can do it in front of the whole church because, by God, it's where they get all of the attention, and they're not going to just do it in their home. They want to do it in the church. Everybody has to watch. It's important.
How else would they get attention?
Right?
Well, yeah. I hate to say it, but especially the Mormon moms.
Yeah.
How do they get attention?
Yeah, we'll be talking about this.
And now they don't get
have
their,
many
their
special
9
days.
babies, right? They only get like 3.
Yeah, exactly. We are not.
Every single one has to count.
We're not blessing this baby in the house. We are waiting until every single member of the church, I'm calling them all, they are all going to have to come to the church and they are going to watch this thing. God damn it. All right. I mean, look, I don't think any of our listeners are going to mourn the fact that there are fewer Mormons. The Mormon the explosion
numbers,
of Mormons.
Yeah, the numbers are still going up.
Yeah,
but here's the deal, and this came out recently too. It's like over a third of the Mormon population is single at this point.
What?
Did you not see that?
They're professional marriers.
Yeah,
that's all they know how to do.
Yeah, but so they have like their core membership, and then of them, most of them probably are getting married, right? Like multi-generational Mormons, but some of them don't, right?
Sure.
And then you have people coming into the church, and the church is finding it ever more difficult to actually baptize whole families into the church. They just get like one person coming in, right?
You get like lonely one-offs.
And then you get a lot of those, maybe, some of them are probably coupled, right? But they're the only one coming in. But a lot of them are single. They're just singles coming into the church and not necessarily intermingling with each other.
It's not turning into the dating app that they were hoping for.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, sad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to talk about... So, most of our listeners will be aware of the organization called Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. In large part because they're constantly at the forefront of controversy, especially in our country, but also in other countries. Because they believe that women have the right to have, health care and reproductive care and get to choose when and if they have children and all of those things. And get to choose not to have a child if they're pregnant, which is the big kicker. Anyway, they've been fighting the good fight against the religious right all over the world for a long, long fucking time. And part of that fight is that they try to get clergy on board because there's no reason why they have to be opposed to them, except that, having an enemy is good for business when you're in the clergy. Anyway, they have the Clergy Advocacy Board.
Oh.
This is a board within the Planned Parenthood organization.
Okay.
That is basically trying to get the word out to clergy that, guess what? You don't have to hate these people. They do nice things. So you can actually like them.
Right.
And the new board actually has a bunch of members from the South.
Oh.
So they are clergy members themselves.
Okay.
And they are there to try and get this word out. Now, here's the thing. Not all of them are from the South. For instance, the Reverend Tim Kutzmark is from California. But Reverend Stephen Griffith is from Nebraska. I don't know if that counts as the South. It's more Midwest. But is it Midwest? Is it the South? No.
It's Midwest.
Yeah. Anyway, let me read you the names of the rest of these of these folks, and just see if you can catch on to the trend that I caught on to.
Okay.
The rest of the new names on the Planned Parenthood Clergy Advocacy Board are, let's see, Rabbi Sarah Smiley of Kansas, Reverend Katie Zay of North Carolina, Reverend Rebecca Todd Peters of North Carolina, Reverend Ellie Dowd of Illinois, Reverend Essie Salisbury of Tennessee, and Reverend Letitia James Portis of Georgia. Any trends that you noticed there?
Let me see. What stood out to me?
Not surprising to me that the reverends from the South that they could get to advocate for Planned Parenthood would be women.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's great. I'm all for it.
It's really good. I mean, it does say that most likely they are also at more liberal, churches.
I mean, obviously, yes. They are going to be at more liberal churches. And the question for me is, are they going to be able to penetrate into the people that need to hear their message the most as women pastors or as women, as women clergy people? It makes me wonder, because if there's one thing we can say about especially religious white men, it's that they aren't listening to women.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
That's a pretty common thing. I will say this, though, though most white evangelical Protestants, 77% to be exact, according to a Pew study, though 77% of white evangelical Protestants say that abortion should be illegal in all or most cases, that's not the case for many religious people.
Right.
So of black Protestants, only like 64% think that abortion should be legal in all or most cases.
Oh, wow. Okay.
60% of white mainline Protestants. 56% of Catholics. 56% of American Catholics think that abortion should be legal.
And they call themselves
Catholic. Which is the
Catholic.
correct position. I mean, no, that's the,
no. I know, but
you can actually be opposed to abortion and still think that it should be legal. You don't have to get one.
Right, exactly.
The legalization of abortion does not mandate anyone should get an abortion. It just keeps it safe and available to women who want them, who disagree with your position based on nothing, that life begins at conception or whatever. Anyway, there you go. Bunch of Southern pastors getting into the fray.
Good.
Fighting the good fight.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Well, if you're a Southern pastor and you'd like to tell us what for, go ahead and write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Hey, Frank.
Dan.
Do you know the MyPillow guy?
I mean, yeah, only because he became famous for being crazy. I mean, I guess he was crazy, anyway. I guess...
he used to be just a guy selling pillows on late-night television who happened to wear a cross over his tie.
Yeah.
And then... he was somehow elevated. I don't know. His vocal support for Trump somehow elevated him to advisor to the president. I don't know. Now he's on every right wing conservative Christian outlet available.
Right.
And he's made quote unquote documentaries. Expounding on how the election was stolen.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if you've seen him in an interview. I have seen him in several, and it doesn't matter how much he likes them, nobody can make this guy shut up. Oh. Once they'll ask him one question, and half an hour later, he's still talking, and they're still going, yes, but, that's all they get out. Anyway, this is Mike Lindell appearing on the Eric Metaxas radio show.
Okay.
He's another douchebag. Anyway, Mike has announced that he is going to be launching the website, the free speech website to end all websites.
Oh, good. Oh,
forget your 8chan, forget your 4chan. All the chans are gone now. Because Mike Lindell's going to give free speech to the people.
That's good.
But he's got a very specific idea of how free speech works.
Oh,
so let's just hear what he has to say about it.
Now, people ask me, Eric. They said, you're gonna let everything go, porn and swearing and everything? I said, absolutely not. And here's why. We have a thing we found in the Constitution and our founding fathers that defines what free speech is. And Eric, get this, this Judeo-Christian platform we're going to have here, they go by biblical principles. They get to the Supreme Court, you have the 10 Commandments there. And you'll see our definement there. So in other words, you can't, you're not going to have porn up there. You're not going to have these sites that contain material that go against our Constitution, go against what our founding fathers put in there. It really defines what free speech is. For example, swearing is now you're not going to be able to swear. There'll be 4 words for sure you can't say. You can't say the C word, the N word, the F word, and you can't use God's name in vain. What a concept, right?
Wow. That's really puritanical. I like it. Keep going. This is what people don't know what free speech is. Free speech doesn't mean you can go on there and say, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to go kill that guy. Right. So this is actual free speech. Obviously, if you yell fire in a crowded theater, that's not considered free speech. And the Supreme Court has ruled on all these things.
Right. And
so, Mike, this is important, though.
We're going to have that very defined in there. I want people to know that because I've been asked that by the media, hammered this last week. Well, what are you going to do different? Well, what I'm not going to do is suppress true free speech. When someone goes out there and says, I don't like what's going down at the border, or I don't like that our country was attacked and nobody's did anything about it or is doing anything about it. If I can't say those things, that's free speech.
Listen,
and you can't do another thing. You can't do what we defined in there is totally defame someone. What's the 9th commandment? It's thou shouldn't put. I can't even think now, but it's in the 9th commandment. You're bearing false witness, I believe it is. So if you're putting a complete lie against Eric, if I say Eric Metaxa did something terrible and it's an out and out lie, that's not free speech. That is not free speech. Okay, and if you're trying to defame them,
Oh my God, this poor guy. I wonder about so what if you take a position, because he throws out positions that he feels like you just can't say anywhere else, right?
Which you obviously can say them.
Absolutely.
They are, there's literally nowhere that's stopping you from saying things like your opinion about what's happening on the border.
Right. But what if you come in and say things that he doesn't agree with? That he thinks are
something
phony,
tells me you're going to get banned real quick.
Right? Like if you get on there and you're start advocating for doing away with the border, let's say, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
You're going to get shut down.
The second you create, this is the internet we're talking about. The second you create a site where you say free speech is okay, and then if any of us go on to the whatever Mike Lindell's website is going to be, I'm certain it will be a disaster that will flop instantly. But we go on there, we say, Biden is the greatest president since blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And, Trump was a disaster and da, 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 da. Say whatever you want to say. I guarantee you the free speech, all of that, you can't defame somebody else's character. That's all that will be happening. That is literally going to be instantly 1,000 comments of defamation of character. Right. Instantly. And as long as there's no swearing, I guarantee you he's not going to object to it. No swearing. But that's free speech. Free speech, let me tell you something. In the Constitution of the United States, it says no swearing. I'm pretty sure somewhere it says that.
I know. He's really a peach, isn't he?
He's it's cute. I think it's cute.
He just lives in his own little fantasy land.
Like he is that very special kind of dumb that you can get. I like it.
But he's good. He made great pillows.
Did he?
I don't know.
I've never tried.
I don't know. If anybody out there actually bought one, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. Let us know.
And what have you done with it since you realized he's an asshole?
If your My Pillow's any good. Oh my God. Yeah. What if they were the really just like revolutionarily comfortable? I guarantee you they're not. This guy is so full of hot air. They're probably stuffed with like ball bearings or something awful. But what if they were the most comfortable pillow in the world? Would you get one?
No. No.
Okay.
I would deprive myself of that. The pillow I have right now is fine.
You're not losing sleep over pillow.
No
problems.
The problem I have is I will never find a pillow to replace the one that I have. It just will never happen. It is so broken in. It's so perfect. It's soft in all the right ways.
There you go.
It's basically non-existent, which I also really like.
Yeah, I'm running a pillow into the ground currently myself.
Yeah, I'm really worried that I've tried out 2 different pillows recently. I'm worried. I'm really worried.
We're off on a crazy tangent right now, but I got to say, I once went to a hotel in Paris.
Oh,
there was a fun little funky nice hotel.
Yeah.
And one of the fun amenities that they had was an array of pillows. You got to your bed, and they were standing upright and fanned out in front of you. There were all of these different types of pillows. There were different shapes. They were all like sort of foam, but whatever. There were different shapes for different heads. That was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Did you sleep well?
I slept great. We got to that hotel because we left the last hotel that was a disaster. So that was
okay.
I would have slept well no matter what. Anyway, listen, we had some folks write into us, some listeners. So let's get to that. Amber wrote in to say, hello there. I was so happy to hear Dan make the offhanded comment that he didn't believe laziness is a real thing. I have also had this thought recently. I have been struggling a lot with mental health issues recently, and I have tracked a lot of this back to the uniquely American religious upbringing, and I think the concept of laziness is part of it. Dan, would you mind expanding on your thought process on this? Now, I don't know where you come in on this, Frank. I did sort of offhandedly, because we were talking about the Mormon prophet saying that we were all lazy learners because we didn't believe anymore in the
clearly
true
there must be something wrong
word.
With us.
Right.
if we
and it's laziness.
Yeah.
I guess my point about laziness is I genuinely don't believe in laziness. I don't think that it's a real thing. I think every time someone has labeled anything as lazy, it's either actually, like, people have reasons why they don't do things, whether it's invisible to them and the rest of the world or not. We all have reasons, and most of the time it's because there's something paralyzing you. It's it's not laziness. It's because either you feel some sort of internalized shame or guilt about not doing it, which only makes things worse. Because guilt and shame are paralytics. They stop you from doing. They're not motivators. Calling someone lazy doesn't motivate them to do the thing. It just shames them and stops them more. So, I just think people have reasons why they're not doing stuff. And it's never just, well, I guess I'm just a layabout. I guess that's just who I am. It's not. Human beings are doers of things. Like in our natural, when we're mentally healthy and when we are happy, we are motivated doers of things. So it's I think Amber, I also deal with mental health issues. I know what it feels like to want to do the things, to even need to do the things, and to can't do the things, or don't do the things. So yeah, I think we need to abolish the whole concept of laziness.
I mean, I guess I can see your point, and I wouldn't want anybody to, like, who is in sort of that situation, right, to feel bad that they're not doing anything or doing whatever they feel like society is requiring of them or whatever that they just can't bring themselves to. But I don't know if it's a blanket exemption from the concept of laziness.
Well, this isn't just
some
me.
Legitimately lazy people in my life.
I think you've met people who have reasons that they don't do things. Like, this isn't just me. I've read several articles about it, and I think more and more in the in the psychological world, people are coming around to this idea that there's no such thing as lazy.
People obviously have different motivations and different levels of motivations, you know, and there are different sort of cultural expectations for activity or work or whatever it is. And America is definitely on the high demand expectation for of work. We define ourselves by work. It's one of the first questions that a stranger will ask you in this country.
Right.
Well,
people can't get over the idea of, like, if you don't do work, what value do you have?
And we define entire groups of people by the dominant group's perception of whether they're such hard workers, right? You've heard that before,
right?
Or they're so lazy, right?
Yeah.
And our listener, which groups these have been applied to, in this country,
and it's not good.
And it's funny. White people can always be both,
right? And they'll be fine either way,
right? Yeah.
It's cute when white people are lazy.
Well, but it's more in the context of, I mean, I've heard the immigration argument that we need immigrants because, who's going to, like, clean hotel rooms and clean toilets
or do agriculture work.
Right. And it's like, because they're hard workers. And it's like, what the fuck? That's like really, like, come on, white people, clean some toilets,
Right.
But I don't know, like, it warrants some thought and everything, but, like, obviously different levels of motivation are coming from different places. And that's,
I mean, look, nobody would you call a Buddhist monk who barely does anything in a day lazy?
He sure seems like it to me. He's not productive at all. He needs to go get a job, make some money.
He's not doing anything.
Get himself caught up in a mortgage.
What is he doing? Go do things. Do, goddamn you, do. All right. This is unsigned. Hello, I live in Mississippi, and yes, it's as bad as it sounds. I love the podcast, and I only listen in my car because I'm by myself. So I have a bushel of things that set me apart. I'm gay, I'm an atheist, and I'm autistic. I hate Mississippi. That is in all caps. So I feel like I did it justice. People here are dumb. I like to think of it as a pre-apocalyptic survival scenario, and I'm waiting for zombies to show up. My question is, why are people so dumb? Seriously, a guy got mad at me because I was reading a book. He's my uncle, by the way. So, follow up, why do people hate books? Anyway, thanks y'all for your great work, you filthy heathens. Yeah, I don't know why people are dumb. They are, though. That is not an inaccurate. I don't know. We're all just apes with cell phones. Yeah, and if we have cell phones, what do we need books for?
Well, it's the pride in lack of learning that's concerning, right? Which is the, instead of, what are you reading, right? Like, finding a way to make somebody feel awkward or shamed about being curious,
right? and there is this thing.
It's the world.
And if it's not pride in one's own ignorance, which is a real thing that occurs in a lot of people, if it's not that, it's this sense of, like, they somehow feel shamed by society because they are not big readers, which is something that's a real thing too. And then they need to pass that shame along to other people. So, or rather, your reading makes them feel attacked because they know they don't read. I don't know. Look, we're not psychologists here. We're just dumb guys on the internet radio. And then finally, we got an email. This is not one that I'm going to read on air, but it's something that I want to talk about.
Oh.
Which is we got an email from the organizers of the Conference on Religious Trauma.
Oh.
Or CORT, which is taking place May 11th through the 16th. And I just want to encourage our listeners to attend if it's something that interests them. I think it's a very unique, very good thing. It's an online conference, as all conferences should be right now. And it's they've got a lot of good speakers. They've got our dear friend of the show, Daryl Ray, will be speaking.
Oh, nice.
Marlene Winnell, who is sort of the founder of the concept of religious trauma syndrome as an idea, will be speaking. Friend of the show, Terry Daniel, will be we'll be working with it.
Nice.
I think. I just want to encourage people to attend if they want to. We'll throw the link into the show notes. Anyway, if you want to go, you can get a discount if you register using the discount code POD15, and that'll give you $15 off. Nice. So if this is something that interests you, I just wanted to reach out and to let everybody know that it exists.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do, Dan. We have a new priest. A new priest, Dan. Can you believe it?
I love it. A priest in Mormonism means almost nothing, but it means something to us.
We're more than willing to sell the rights to be a priest.
That's right.
To Ross.
Okay.
Congratulations, Ross, and thank you so much for your support of the show. If you, too, would like to buy a priesthood off of us, we're selling them, everybody. Head on over.
Magic powers for sale.
Head on over to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab. I promise you won't regret it. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Austin! Dan,
hey there.
If you were like me, your father probably never showed much emotion unless he was bearing his testimony at church. And then
it is a unique
my
function.
dad would get weepy.
Yeah. How did it feel when like you never saw him cry ever?
Yeah.
And then he'd get to church and suddenly fall apart on you.
Yeah, but, well,
was it weird?
It was weird. I can't remember if I remember the first time that it happened. But it's like, oh my God, Dad's crying. Right.
Yeah.
It was more, it was just weird.
Did it scare you?
No. Because, if you grew up in Mormonism, you see men do this, right?
Yes.
And so,
that's true.
So it's not that he's behaving out of the norm at all, right? It's just you've never seen your dad cry before, right? So just for context, for what we're talking about here, for all the non-Mormons out there or never Mormons out there, every month, 1 week of every month, there was a what was called testimony meeting, and that meeting, instead of one of the members of the church getting up and giving an interminably boring talk, many members of the church would get up
and bear their testimony
spontaneously, right? Like nobody's being called upon. It's just the bishop or whoever is leading the meeting gets up and says his little thing. He bears his testimony, right?
Right.
And then he turns the time over to the congregation and anybody
whoever's ready.
Yeah, anybody who would like to come up and bear their testimony, right? And
it is the world's worst open mic night.
And then invariably there's like some like, you know, teenage girl who just like runs all the way to the front. There's usually like somebody who's like, every ward has their sister so-and-so who goes up every single time, right? Every month there's sister whomever Smith, right? And gets up and tells you stories, doesn't really bear testimony, right?
Just tells you just stories from her life from the past month, you know, the time that she went to the grocery store and she got the cart with the squeaky wheel, of course. And she just having a bad day. They were out of her favorite cookies and it was just a nightmare. And then, you know, she had this moment where the checker was grumpy at her and everything was going badly, but the bagger, this kid that was bagging her groceries, gave her a smile, and she just knew that everything was okay and that the Lord was with her. And
she gets weepy at that point.
And that's when she gets weepy.
Yeah.
And then and Mormons are criers. Anybody whoever watched Glenn Beck do a show, he is a convert to Mormonism, but that part he picked up on. And there's nothing wrong with crying. Like, crying's fine.
They performative crying, though, right? It's expected that you're going to cry, and you get up there and you cry.
Well, you're Mormoning better. You're feeling more feelings about the church if you're crying.
Yeah.
But when the men do it, it is a thing. Yeah. It is like, and what's weird is my ward was not like this.
Oh no,
the ward that I learned about this when I started going to other wards, when I started like experiencing other people's wards, and was just like, what the fuck is happening? My ward was much more, I don't know,
proper,
it was fine.
Very sedate.
Well, no,
liberal
just not weepy.
Enclave. They knew their testimonies more. It was more.
Here's the thing that
an intellectual exercise rather than an emotional one.
Yeah,
the holy polloi, and they're weeping.
Something like that. No, it is funny though, because this is not a phenomenon that is rare in Mormonism. This is the norm. The concept of people getting, like, men especially, who literally are not socially allowed to show hardly any emotions. They can be happy. You're allowed to be happy.
Yeah.
And you can be grumpy and mad.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Those are both acceptable. Uh-huh. And anything else is basically completely off the table to these men until they get up in front of the church. And at first, you know, you say it's performative, and it is performative. It is, like, very often. But I was thinking about it. I was talking about it with a friend this week, and I was wondering about the idea of, is it so dire? Are the emotional straits of Mormon men so dire that they are actually craving, something in them is craving an outlet just to be able to cry? And because they can't do it anywhere else in their lives, it pours forth from them the second they get some social permission.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I
it is.
know.
Mormonism is emotional poison.
Yeah.
For both men and women, because the flip side of it is that women who are socially allowed to cry at any time and do, my mother-in-law is a prime example. She will cry at anything And she knows it, and we make fun of her about it. But Mormons are criers; they're weepers. But Mormon women must be happy. They are required by law of Mormon society to be happy, because anything else means that you're not churching right.
Right.
Because if you were good with the Lord, why wouldn't you be? What possible reason could you have to not be happy?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, what that leads to is, on both sides of the spectrum, horrible emotional disorders.
Yeah.
Like the highest consumption of antidepressants in the country are centered in Provo, Utah.
Yeah.
The most Mormon place you can imagine. That's not an accident. That's not, that is just these two things. You can draw a straight line from one to the other. There is a causal relationship there. So, I don't know. I don't know. Where are we going with this?
Well, we were going to talk about patriarchy.
Well, it's man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
but
so.
we haven't specifically tied in a discussion about, these. I mean, I guess we kind of danced around it, the rigid roles, and
that's the big thing, right? That's the whole kit and caboodle, is that it's this 1950s leave it to Beaver thing that they're still desperately clinging to, despite all evidence that it's terrible. We talked about that woman who's who's probably going to be excommunicated.
Yeah.
For being, for having the gall to say, the science of the last 50 years actually matters, and we know some things now that we didn't know then.
Yeah.
And also, here's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Do you think that she would be excommunicated if she were a man?
That is interesting.
I'm genuinely asking, because the truth to me is that I think it's very possible that she wouldn't be.
Because here's the kicker with her is she. It's not even so much what she's talking about. It's that she is questioning the church's authority to speak to have said the definitive thing on this topic.
Right. They already spoke about it.
Yeah.
And she's a lady person.
Yeah.
How dare she?
It definitely, the fact that she's a woman, because that's already not her place. Yeah. And then, but if a man, it would she's going to get excommunicated. A man probably would have been, brother so and so.
Well, they would have a lot of talks with him. He would get talking to.
I mean, plenty of men have been, excommunicated for disagreeing with the official whatever, right? But it is an interesting thought that it's much more sort of, obviously the topic is more scandalous coming from a woman, but then just the overall, a woman publicly questioning the prophet's word, essentially.
Well, and how things are done.
Yeah.
The way that things are.
Who is she? Right.
Well, and the thing is that, it is a church of laity. It is a church of lay people who run it, but all of the men get magic powers, fake magic powers, but they get it.
Yeah.
And it's like Mark says on How to Heretic, by the age of 12, a boy outranks his mom in the church.
Yeah.
Because he has a little bit of priesthood, and she has zero.
Yeah, it's
just a mess. But again, what that does, while it does privilege men, it also puts them in the horrible position of having to be an authority. They're required to be an authority. They're not really supposed to defer. And that's poisonous too.
Yeah.
That's toxic masculinity, patriarchy. And the toxicity isn't just about how it affects the women, it's about how it affects the men too.
Yeah. Yes.
It's poisonous.
It is.
So there you go. The thing is, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because while certain specifics of it are unique to Mormonism, there's nothing unique about this patriarchal nonsense, this poison.
Yeah.
In the religious world, it is rampant. And the book itself, the founding documents of all of these books or of all of these religions are all just patriarchal, misogynistic nonsense.
Yeah.
So there you go, ladies. We're on your side.
Yeah. But
I guess.
But tell us about your experience.
Yes,
I want to hear about your religious horror story.
Yeah, whatever your religious background is, share with us your stories about the gender divide.
Yeah,
we want to hear about it. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com,
or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah. While you're at it, since you're on the internet, you might as well go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And if you'd like to join the members only lounge, head on over to thankgodimatheist.com/members only, and you'll find it.
Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks so much to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Bye-bye.